Sam Rayburn Reservoir, Texas, one of the most famed lakes in the entire country. I'm excited to go there because they've been catching giants all year long. I shouldn't say all year long, but pre-spawn. You hear like 13s and 12s and 10s, just all these big ones being caught on Sam Rayburn. Like, woo! I mean, I want to be part of that when we get there. I want to be able to jack some of these big ones. We get to Sam Rayburn, and what happens? Oh, the cold front hits, boom, just knocks the lake back. So whatever the bite was is done and gone because the water temperature in a short amount of time, in a couple days, dropped 10 degrees when we get here. And I'm like, is this really happening? And the lake is getting absolutely hammered by fishermen. This place, I think on a weekend, there's probably 1,000 to 2,000 boats on the lake fishing, pretty much on any given weekend in the springtime. And I'm like, I need to try and find some fish that haven't been pressured. So I Google Earth, look, all right, hey, there's a ramp way up in some river. Let's go launch there and try it and see what happens. I launch up in the river and I'm fishing around. There's a couple boats around. And I'm going to what I think is the juice in these backwater ponds. I'm like, oh man, that looks awesome on Google Earth. I mean, I found one little corner. I caught a bunch of non-scorables. I mean, you can catch them every cast, but I'm like, okay, this isn't gonna do any good. I think there's a few fish down there. Nothing. And I get out to the mouth of this area where I start getting some isolated cypress trees and a little bit of wind blowing from the north, pushing up on these cypress trees. And I flip out there. Oh. Holy crap, 6-pounder. I'm like, oh, thank you. Okay. That's a 6 something. And I go to the next tree, catch one. I go over to one more tree, jack another 6-pounder. I'm like, why'd you set the hook, you dummy? That's a tub. And there's 6 something. And I keep fishing around, boom, boom, boom. I'm starting to shake them off now, and I lift one up, and it's like a 4 or 5-pounder. I'm like, oh, all right, kids, we've got something figured out here. So I fish around, get a few more bites, and I'm like, all right, so we spend half a day up there. I'm like, probably gonna be fishing back here. But I said, let's pull out, let's go launch further down the lake and go look at some other stuff. Put the boat on the trailer, drive about a half hour, go to another boat ramp, put in. And I had some stuff that I had fished years before, and just isolated cypress trees and just main lake stuff that doesn't get a lot of fishing pressure. Well, let me go try these. And I roll up there and I'm throwing a 7-inch bass trix. I'm thinking, all right, it's big bait, big bite. And I start going down these cypress trees, thump, thump. A bunch of little guys, just little knotheads, just bump, bump, pop it, and all of a sudden, boom, you catch a 3-pounder. There's a 2.5. So I went through this half-mile stretch and I had maybe 10 or 15 bites. There's no telling what I could have caught that first day if I jacked everything, but it was a lot. I was excited after the first day of practice, but I was also a little nervous. It's like, because when you catch big ones in practice, it never stays the same. So you're never gonna go back and catch those fish. So I get a little apprehensive. All right, so day 2 of practice, I'm gonna go launch somewhere completely different. So let me just run over, and I found some shoreline and started doing the same thing. Started throwing a swim bait up on trees, boom, boom, boom. Had 4 or 5 bites, some of them felt decent. That was a good one right there. Well, the good news is I feel like I may be able to, these little isolated cypress trees, most guys are not fishing, I think, this little isolated stuff. So the morning started out like the first hour is like bump, 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 bump. I'm like, all right, we can run with this. And then the wheels came off. I mean, I started covering water. I went back up in some dirty water. I came back out into some clean water. I bailed out of there trying to find some off the wall stuff, unique stuff, fished a little, looking out deep, looking shallow. Is that the first fish we caught today? I got a fish. Oh my God. But in the end, on day 2 of practice, I really struggled. I'm like, whoa, I know this ain't working, what I'm doing down here. So I'm hoping that what I found upriver will be able to pan out. I did, I caught a keeper. Didn't learn so much today. It was rough. Whatever I fished today, I'm not gonna fish in the tournament. It's supposed to start warming up, so maybe some more fish will start moving in, but today, pretty much sucked. All right, so day 1 of competition, Bass Pro Tour, Sam Rayburn. I drive an hour to get all the way in the north end of the lake to launch up in the river. Not sure if there's gonna be any other anglers there. And who's there? Gerald Spohr and Tommy Biffle. I'm like, all right, that's, you know, they're my group, so okay, there's 3 of us here, but it's a lot of water. Let's go fish, see what we can do. And I get out there, I'm thinking this is gonna be home for the day. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited as hell right now, that's what it is. And it was one of those days where it ended out great. I think I ended the day in 6th place, but about frickin' time. Yes, finally. 3-5. Finally. I lost so many fish. Oh, that was a big one. Oh my God. He was swimming out with it. Damn it! They were biting really strange, so I'd flip that pit boss way back up in the trees. Ah! And then big buckbrush, and you'd hook them, and they would just come shooting out of the water and get hung up in the trees and come off. And I watched him. That was a good one. I probably lost half of the fish I hooked on day 1 of competition. And in the end, it was still a great day. I finished 6th. Ah! Oh, 2 pounds. Thank you. But I just never forget that day. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like everything I hooked, it felt like I was losing. God dang it. You're fishing in this jungle, and you try to make a cast, and you're wrapping around trees over here and over there, and it's just the wind would catch something, and you're snagged in this tree, and it's like, ah! You had to keep grinding. There was somewhat of a pattern to where I was catching the fish. Yes. Oh my God. You had to just fish and fish and fish, and all of a sudden you come around the corner, okay, there's a right little scenario, a little shade pocket, but there it is, all right. Yes! Yeah.
Yep. 5 pounds, 4 ounces. 5-4. Those are the ones we need right there. I want to catch another one.
I think Gerald Spohr was in 2nd after the day. Tommy Biffle was in the top 10. So the 3 of us that were there all were in the top 10. I'm like, all right, there's fish around here. So let's do day 2. What a day this is. What am I gonna do? Like, where do I start? And I was like, man, I keep wanting to go back out to the mouth and this isolated stuff where I caught big ones in practice. I'm like, I put on a 7-inch swim bait. I'm like on a weedless hook and 25-pound trilene fluorocarbon. I set up on this point where I had some bites before, the day before, and there's like this one tree, it's got like a little Y in it. And I throw that bait right between that Y and it comes through there, one rolls on it, misses it, dang it. That was like first cast in the morning. I'm like, all right, try it back in there. I jack like a 4-pounder. Like my 2nd cast of the morning on day 2, I'm like, 4-3, first fish. Yeah. And then it went pretty slow for a while. Yeah, it definitely died down. I think I just made it worse. Yeah, I got back in the creek and I throw a swim bait up underneath the tree. Boom, one hits it and miss it. So I pick up the pit boss and flip it in there. Boom, whack, 3-pounder. Shoots out of the water and comes off. I'm like, go around the corner, flip the pit boss into there. Boom. And I'm okay in the standings. I'm like, I was still top 10 quite a bit. I didn't feel like I wanted to go burn a bunch of stuff to try and win my round, because I didn't think I had enough to win my round, I guess I should say. And that last period, and I think I only had 2 fish in the boat, I gotta go do something different. So I run out of where I've been fishing. I just find a little pocket, the wind's blowing in there. And it's literally like maybe 15 minutes left of the day, and I get in that little pocket, and there's one isolated willow tree. And I skip that big swim bait over by that tree. Wow! I'm like, oh, that's a big one. And I go to swing it in the boat, and the rod's lighter than I'm used to, and my drag slips a little bit. I'm like, oh crap, that's bigger than I thought. So I get down there, and the fish runs and goes back into the tree. I'm like, oh, no. 6-pound, 10-ounce, boom! Woo. I was like,
Finally.
That just like this huge weight was off my shoulders at that point in time. I got a chance to make it to the finals. All right, in my head, I'm trying to strategize. How am I gonna go catch a bunch of weight? I'm thinking I gotta go catch 30 plus pounds to make it to the finals. So Gerald Sporer and Odd Defoe already guaranteed their spot in the finals. I've got 8 guys that get a chance in the knockout round. And after what I realized, okay, I caught 2 big ones on a swim bait. So if I'm gonna catch a bunch of big ones, I'm probably gonna do it on that. Bail on the upper river where I've been fishing, and I'm gonna go down the lake and fish that area that I fished late in the afternoon on the first day of practice. And I roll through and I'm fishing all the juice, and I caught 3, I lost 3 keepers.
3 pounds, 12 ounces.
All right. Boom. One.
Pounds, 15 ounces.
This is not going what I had this vision in my head of just really catching them, that, on all that same stuff. And, I caught 3 fish kind of early. So I'm like in the top 10. I'm like, all right, so I'm 1 bite away from making the top 8 knockout round. And then all of a sudden I'm 2 bites away, and then I'm 3 bites away. I'm like, the guys are doing this and I'm doing this. I'm like, I'm watching them go by me. I'm like, oh, I gotta change. So I pull the plug on what I'm doing, and I run way upriver again where I've been fishing the first 2 days, and I only had like an hour to fish. Never had another bite, and just didn't really get to the stuff that I probably needed to fish. So in the end, I ended up 27th. It's good, but it's disappointing as well. Wanted to make the final round, did not. But in the end, Sam Rayburn fished really tough. Still a great start to the season, finished 27th. Hopefully you enjoyed this coverage of Bass Pro Tour. Sam Rayburn, stage 1 is done for me. And until next time, make sure you like, subscribe, Skeet Reese Fishing, and hopefully you get on the water and you go crack a big one.